Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another PBALC live stream. Our focus for this month, as you know, is cultural literacy. And our guest today is Phil from the Sibley Nature Center. Welcome, Phil.
Hi, Alba. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you and to feature the Nature Center. So if you'll go ahead and introduce yourself and tell our viewers what your role at the Nature Center is, and then you can tell us a little bit about the Nature Center.
Yes, ma'am, of course. My name is Phil Salonik. I'm the education director here at Sibley Nature Center. We're a pretty small outfit. We have an executive director, myself, we have a museum scientist and naturalist, and then we have a part-time gardener and a part-time facilities maintenance person. So we're pretty small, but our complex is set on 49 acres here on Hogan Park, where we have a trail system, family garden, ethnobotanical garden, and a pond, and then the nature center itself. And this nature center, we've been here since '85. The building was originally the Soil and Water Conservation Office for the county, but they donated it to us, and now we have a nature center here, museum, and then the 49 acres that we are on was one of the original water well fields for the town.
Okay. Very interesting. And for viewers that are new to the Permian Basin, the Nature Center is in Midland, right? Hogan Park. Tell us a little bit where Hogan Park is located.
Yeah, we're off Wadley. We're on 1307 East Wadley Avenue.
Okay, perfect. And so tell us about what the Nature Center, why it exists, and what kind of opportunities are available there at the Nature Center.
Well, we celebrate the flora, fauna, and history, or the plants and animals and history of the region. And we do a lot of different programs. Every other month, we have a lunch lecture series, our brown bag, where we have speakers come in and talk about different subjects, but they're all nature related. We also have preschool programs that run August through May, the second Tuesday of each month, where the Midland County Library brings out the bookmobile, and we do story time and crafts and small trail walks. We do outreach into schools here. We have field trips and field days for students. We host different artists every quarter and display their work on our walls and have artist receptions for them. These are all free to the public, open to the public. We have spring and fall festivals, spring, summer, and fall camps for kids, artist workshops. Hike with a Homeless Pet is a partnership with an animal shelter here where they bring animals out and people can walk them on the trails and even adopt those animals. Gosh, we even started a podcast during the pandemic. So the first series of the podcast covers the human history of the region of 12,000 years ago until now. But we also do other episodes with some of our artists and other organizations in the region. So we're pretty busy.
We have a lot going on.
Yes, ma'am. We're on social media, Instagram and Facebook. Sibley Nature Center TX is our handle. And that's where you can find all of our events and upcoming things. And also we have yoga here, yoga on Sunday mornings at 8:30.
I saw a post somewhere when one of my friends was saying that they were heading out to do yoga at the Nature Center, and I was like, well, I didn't realize that you could do that up there. And so people don't realize how diverse, the natural world in the Permian Basin is. They just think, it's just dirt and red rock and oil. But there's a lot of diversity in regional plants and things like that. So isn't there?
Yes, ma'am. And kind of the cultural connection, nature really provides the setting or the backdrop for any kind of cultural activity or beliefs to develop for peoples. And like I said, we celebrate the nature and the history of the region. So I can take you out and give you a tour of the center now if you'd like to do that.
And show us all the things that y'all have available there at the Nature Center.
Okay. I'm going to turn my camera here. So this is our main lobby here. You can see there's some art up on the walls that we're hosting now. This is Homelessness in Midland. It's artist Conrad Coleman here. But I want to show you this photo here on the wall. This is up northeast of Lubbock. This is a place called Caprock Canyon. Okay, and we celebrate the flora fauna history of the region, but we call that region the Llano Estacado. And the Llano is a big, large plateau we live on. You can see here, this is the top of that plateau. And then all this red, that's what we call the escarpment, where that plateau falls off to the plains below. But that's just a visual I wanted to show you before we go look at some maps. But the Llano Estacado, there were a couple theories about what that meant. People have said it means the staked plains, because when the Spanish came, the region was so flat they had to drive stakes into the ground to help navigate. But that's being kind of debunked. Here's a map of the Llano Estacado. You can see we're down here, right? But this entire highlighted area is that big plateau I was talking about. And that big picture we looked at, where you can see the escarpments, that's right about here, Caprock Canyon. Llano Estacado, we actually think means palisaded plains, because when the Spanish approached, they saw the escarpments of those walls, and it looked like the palisades of the walls of a fortress. And that's what we think that actually meant. But the Llano Estacado, here's another picture of it. It's pretty large, 35,000 square miles or so. And, you know, here to the east, everything falls off to the Red Permian Plains. Here to the north, everything falls off to the Canadian River Valley. This is the Mescalero escarpment of the Pecos River Valley, all the way down here. At the bottom, at the southern end by Midland, Odessa, we kind of blend into the Edwards Plateau. But if you're driving on I-20 to the east past Big Spring, when you go past Stanton, you'll see the terrain drop off about 30 feet. And the same thing, when you get around Pinwell going west on I-20, the terrain's going to drop off as well. And that's the escarpment of the Llano Estacado. But everything we have here lived on the Llano at one time, or still does. A couple 100 million years ago, this creature, a phytosaur, was hanging out here. This is not a dinosaur, but an ancient reptile. This was found north of Lubbock, or a small town called Tulia. This creature was about 30 feet long. That's from our front door all the way back to the walls where the maps are. Pretty large creature. It might look like a crocodile or an alligator, but there are some differences. The ankle structure of this animal is a little different than the crocodiles or alligators, but also crocs or alligators would have nostrils on the tip of their snout, and this animal's nostrils are actually up here on top of its head. So it had a soft palate, and yeah, just some differences. But we also have here in the main lobby, we have our auditorium. We have a bunch of taxidermy in here. A couple white-tailed deer, pronghorn, bunch of different waterfowl. There's a cougar, a peccary, a sandhill crane, a Canadian goose, a black bear, bunch of different raptors. There's a golden eagle. But you know, the nice thing about taxidermy is you get a chance to get up close to these creatures that you probably never get to see that close in the real world, right? But this auditorium, we host a lot of different programs in here. We have this nice stage. We have a big projector screen and projector. And also the third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. we do a movie night. We watch a short nature-based film in here. And that's free to the public, free popcorn and such. This is our Yana room. This is a multi-purpose room where we do a lot of different programming, but mostly kids stuff. In here we have touch tables. Of course, we got a bunch of kids things like books and puppets and markers, but these touch tables, we have different furs. This is a coyote, gray fox, possum, skunk, badger, bobcat, raccoon. This is a bison or a buffalo. A bunch of different skulls, white-tailed deer, coyote, raccoon, coyote, pronghorn, porcupine, beaver, badger, possum, cottontail rabbits, armadillo, bobcat, skunk, great horned owl, white-tailed deer, bobcat. This is our artifact table. This is a mono and metate. The mono is a stone used to grind like mesquite seed bean pods into flour or soup thickener that ancient Americans or Native Americans would use. This is the skull of a bison, the modern bison, the bison used to roam this country. This is a cast of the bison antiquus. That's the Ice Age bison, considerably larger than the modern bison. We also have some fossils here, fossils that can be found all over out here. These are ammonites. It's a big aquatic shrimp, basically. This is a bivalve, big shell. This is an oyster. Call these devil's toenails. This is some smaller ones. You can find these in road cuts out here. Fossilized algae, sea biscuits. This is actually a sauropod, or like a four-legged dinosaur, like a brontosaurus. It's a vertebra fossil. You can look at the texture there, that spongy tissue. That's how you can tell it's a vertebrae. Yeah, we'll take you back out here. There's our museum scientist Michael Nickel walking into his office. We have a non-lending library, or a great resource. We have a bunch of different books in here that could be used if anybody had any kind of research they were trying to do. But there's a great book here, Empire of the Summer Moon. This is by S.C. Gwynn. This book, it talks about the rise and fall of the Comanches, but it follows a pioneer woman named Cynthia Ann Parker, and she was kidnapped by the Comanches when she was 9 years old. But she went on to become the mom of a mixed blood child named Quanah Parker. That's who this is on the cover here. Quanah went on to become a chief of the Comanches, and probably one of the greatest chiefs of the Comanches. But the importance of this book is that the Comanche territory was actually the Llano Estacado, right where we are. And the Comanches, they were pretty awesome warriors, horseback mounted, but they drove the Spanish back, the French back, and then there was a 40-year war between the Americans and the Comanche. The Americans had settled everything out here and back here and up here, but this plateau was kind of no man's land because the Comanche were formidable enemies. Pretty awesome. And this book is great. I can't recommend it enough. The rest of our nature center here, out this back door, we have a 3-sided glass room, a viewing garden. And this viewing garden is reminiscent of the short grass prairie that used to cover this land. We have a bunch of mesquite out here now, and mesquite is native to Texas, but in the past it was restricted more to rocky soils like the draw habitat. But once we got rid of the bison or buffalo, started putting out wildfires and brought in cattle who overgrazed, that mesquite was able to crawl up out of the draws and just take over. But we also have bees. This is a horizontal Langstrom box. You might be able to see some bees flying, yeah, right there, that back corner. They're out gathering nectar and pollen, of course. But yeah, this is a great place. If anybody ever wants to come out and just kind of relax, you can watch the birds and the bees and the butterflies fly around out here. We have this is a stream table. It shows erosion, deposition, and geomorphological changes of the landscape, how water can change the landscape. We don't have any water in it now. We use that for field trips and field days, but yeah, that's the short tour of our facility. If Ollie, you want to come back and
Yes, that was a wonderful tour. Thank you so much, Phil, for that. We do get a question from one of our viewers. Because of this Permian, because we live in the Permian Basin here in Midland, Odessa, and it's very, obviously this area is very rich in fossil oil. And so a lot of people want to know, does oil really come from fossils from dinosaurs?
Yeah, kind of. For the most part, there were shallow seas that came and covered this area, then receded and covered this area and receded. And it's not necessarily dinosaurs that make the oil, but all those small little organisms like aquatic plants, like the plant life in the ocean, that was deposited, and then as that water receded, it was covered up with soil, and then the seas came again and deposited that aquatic plant life. And once all those things were cemented down and then started breaking down, they turned into well, we call it petroleum, but fossil fuels or hydrocarbon.
Okay. And so
the Permian Basin is more of an economic term because there's not a basin here per se, but geologically there is a basin underneath the surface layers, but not so much on the surface.
Layers of this area. Okay. And so why do you think, I know, and you notice the thing, you have a great bee pollinating, your little beehives and things like that. Why do you think, it's so important to preserve nature and to learn about nature and to make sure that we take care of nature?
Yeah, I think that there's that old saying, you can't take care of what you don't understand, and you can't love what you don't understand. So I think it's important for us to understand that we're a part of nature, and the more we know about it, the better care we can take of it, and ultimately love and steward the natural world around us. Because we are a part of that. We're not separate from it, even though we move from climate-controlled space to climate-controlled space throughout the day. We're still a piece of nature.
I'm glad that you say that, because it's we can all live in harmony with nature and being able to conserve nature while still being able to live our our, what do you call it, futuristic lives, with
our modern lives.
Yeah, modern life. So it's just, I feel like it's important to take care of nature and important to take care of our plants and animals, because we only have one Earth, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Once it's gone, it's gone. So any last thoughts that you want to share with us, Phil, about the Nature Center? I know you mentioned earlier where people can find information about the preschool program and the lecture series. Would it be best to just follow the Nature Center on the social media? Where can they find those dates and times for everything?
Yes, ma'am. We also have a website, sibleynaturecenter.org. And on that website, at the top right corner, you can subscribe to our newsletter. And we send that newsletter out once a month on the 1st. And then depending on the amount of programming, we may send out another reminder in the middle of the month. But that would be another way for people who aren't real social media savvy. As long as you have an email address, you'll get a newsletter from us that will give you all the same information that you find. And then there's a calendar on our website as well that will list our event.
Share again with our
You
viewers.
know, you could just come out in person and walk through and talk to us.
Tell us again, speaking of coming in person, tell us again where you're located.
Yep, we're 1307 East Wadley Avenue. That's here in Midland. And our hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Although our trail system is open every day from sunrise to sunset. We have a couple miles worth of trails out here.
Wonderful.
And they're handicap accessible as well.
Okay, great. So y'all have busy, lots of things going on, and we appreciate everything that you're doing for the community and to preserve the natural world in the Permian Basin.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and Phil, for the tour and for the information. And make sure and go and check out the Nature Center. We'll be posting all the links that Phil shared with on our comments too, so you can go on there and log on and go and check them out.
Thank you, Alba.
Bye, everyone. See y'all next time.